All right, now with these Texans trading away all these players, the Dolphins are another team. They traded away Laremy Tunsil. So what does this have? How does this affect the Dolphins? Well, the Dolphins cleaned up. Yeah, you lose one of your better players, but they got a lot of compensation for them, and it's gonna they're in a full rebuild, and this is definitely going to help them as they continue to try to build up the roster that they want to do. And in this upcoming NFL draft, the 2020 draft, they're going to have 2 first-round picks, one of theirs, one of the Texans. They're going to have 2 second-round picks and 2 third-round picks because more than likely they're going to get a third-round pick from Jawan James, who they let walk, who ended up signing with the Broncos. So they're going to have 6 picks in the first 2 days next year. In 2021, they're also going to have 4 picks within the first 2 rounds, 2 firsts and then 2 seconds. So we've seen this before. We've seen teams load up on draft picks. It was the Cleveland Browns for so many years. Now, they weren't able to really cash in. Okay? Yes, the Browns are going to be a playoff contender this year. A lot of that was because of free agent moves, and they kind of whiffed on some of those drafts where they had a ton of picks. Can the Dolphins, with this new regime, can they cash in? Potentially going to get 6 new starters. If you look at the NFL draft, picks 1 through 3, you should be getting star players and starters. Can they get 6 of those in 2020? Okay? Heck, if they even got 4 of them, I think they'd be ecstatic. I really feel for Josh Rosen. Here's a guy that I was a big fan of when he came out of UCLA. When he got, he showed some promise with the Cardinals, but he played on a crappy scheme and all that. Now he's with the Dolphins. I'm like, okay, I think he's got a good chance to have some success. They've got some pieces. Now he's going to have to, in preseason, he didn't have hardly any time to throw. Now you're losing your best offensive lineman, and they're potentially, look who the Dolphins could be starting at left tackle. You got Julian Davenport, who they just traded, Texans traded away. He gave up 12 sacks last year and 69 pressures. The other guy that they're considering is former Miami Hurricane Danny Isidora. Now, Danny Isidora gave up 2 sacks last year and only 11 pressures, but he did that with less than 150 passing snaps, as a guard. And I got that stat from Doug Farrar. That's not good. This line was not very good. Now one of the guys you're considering starting at left tackle is a former guard. Poor Josh Rosen. I feel for him. And here's the thing that bugs me. More than likely, and I hate to say this because I like Josh Rosen as a prospect, he's going to go down as a bust. But just look at the situations that he's been dealt with in his career. He goes to Arizona, 10th overall pick. Their offensive coordinator is outdated, wasn't very good coming in, and just didn't do anything, didn't design anything, didn't help anything. They had a bad offensive line, not a lot of weapons. He was set up to fail in Arizona. He gets traded away to the Dolphins, a team that's tanking. No offensive line, no weapons. He's going to get killed. They're probably going to draft a quarterback, whether it's Tua, Herbert, or maybe they stick with Rosen and they wait another year and they draft Lawrence out of Clemson. You got to feel for Josh Rosen because he's going to get trashed. Oh, how could the team take him in the 10th round? He had all these red flags because of his attitude and all that. He was never given a true shot so far in his NFL career. I'm hoping at some point maybe a team trades, when they draft a quarterback, a team trades for him, maybe a good team, maybe he goes to the Patriots, maybe he goes to the Chargers, somewhere where he can actually be a part of a quality program and show that he's got a lot of talent. Because he was one of the better quarterbacks I've seen in the last several years. But he just hasn't gotten that opportunity. Houston continued to also rebuild and unload contracts. They traded away Kiko Alonso. Not like he was the star player, but he had a big contract. They traded him away to the Saints for Vince Beagle. Vince Beagle, former Wisconsin outside linebacker who's kind of moved to an off-the-ball linebacker in the NFL. Barely played. Dolphins are rebuilding. They're tank. I wouldn't necessarily say it tanking. I mean, you're tanking because you're trading away all your best players. But and do you really blame them? I mean, so often we see these teams go in rebuild mode and they kind of try and patchwork it. Why don't just tear it down, build, accumulate draft picks and build the team from scratch the way that you want it to. And it's not like they've, other than Laremy Tunsil, it's not like they've gotten rid of all these great players. Yeah, you would like to have Tunsil and Juwan James, but they weren't going to want to pay him the contract that the Broncos did. So Dolphins fans have to be hurting, but hopefully you can trust their process of how this happens and they can build it up the right way and, go back to having some success.